Well, welcome to the webinar which summarises the English team meeting we had under the Professional Exchange Network, or PEN project, which is funded by the Education and Training Foundation, and this is a summary of the meeting of the 11th of November 2016 for colleagues who couldn't get to the meeting. Just a reminder that FE Sussex is the consortia company of the 12 post-16 colleges in Sussex, and you can see on the map there that we also extend ourselves into Surrey. And the PEN project, actually, we've been working across Essex, Kent, Sussex and Hampshire as well. So the purpose of the webinar is to introduce the project, to bring you an awareness of sector issues which surround the delivery of English and administration. Obviously, for colleagues who couldn't attend, this hopefully is a useful reference source, and it will encourage you to get involved with the PEN project in the future. Now, we had quite a bright agenda. We had AQA there, and the majority of the colleges attended are actually doing AQA English GCSE. So we were having a look at AQA changes and the developments that are going on with GCSE. I brought along with me some very interesting and useful bullet points from an Ofsted workshop session we had in Sussex, which colleagues attended in Sussex and had the opportunity to have 40 minutes questions and answers with the lead HMI for English and Maths. And then we had a look at success rates for GCSE within general further education colleges, a quick chat about learning resources, and some knowledge exchange on that perennial problem of encouraging and improving retention and attendance. So to launch straight in, the Ofsted workshop was very interesting, and there are a number of bullet points which you can look at your leisure here on the screen. But the first one was, somebody asked a question about what's the preferred teaching style, and the answer came back, there isn't a preferred teaching style. If you can make progress with students in any way that is that they respond to, benefit from and improve and gain from good quality of teaching, learning and assessment, then why would Ofsted recommend a style? So there isn't a recommended style. Much debate about E-grade students and what programme do they go? Do they go to GCSE or functional skills? And is that going to prejudice you in an Ofsted inspection or visit? And the answer is there is no particular or specific Ofsted policy. However, as a college, it's incumbent upon us to demonstrate progress for all students, and that progress can be E to D, but we need evidence to support that. In the same way, English and Maths are not limiting grades. However, outcomes will be taken into account with notice of learner volume. So if you've got a high level of learners, and some colleges have got 800, even 1500 GCSE candidates, then if they're not achieving at the grade that's, I'll say that again, if they're not achieving progress and the anticipated grade, then that could indicate that you have a leadership and management issue on how you've decided to treat these students. And the other question which people looked at and debated at quite length actually was an E-grade English or Maths student that comes in and the college has a policy of enrolling them on level 1 functional skills. Now, the parity between E-grade and level 1 is there, so it's not normally considered to show much progress, and certainly not over a year if the student was placed on the level 1 functional skills and you were then saying, well, they did achieve and they did progress because they've made it from E to level 1 FS. The answer is actually you could use it as a rapid stepping stone, so a few weeks, but certainly not over a 3-term period. So, as I've said before on various things we've done with GCSE, the initial advice and guidance is absolutely critical to determining the student's current point of learning, and then the ability to make sure that they're on a course on which they can make progress. So students require improvement student profiles. When they're presented to an inspector, they should show the different needs of students, but we have situations where staff identify different student needs, they're in a group, and then the teacher goes into the classroom and doesn't use any differentiated teaching, learning and assessment. So in other words, the expectation is that the teacher will fill the skills gap of the E-grade student in the most appropriate way. Now, one of the downsides that's been found in monitoring visits and in inspection has been where colleges and providers have no coherent strategy, no developed policy which enables students to make progress at whatever level they come in with. They're all treated as one, in other words. And then a couple of general points colleagues debated, which was quite interesting actually. The first one is that perennial myth that when Ofsted walk in the room, you've got to put on the stage performance. You've got to have a bit of IT in there, a bit of question and answers, a bit of this, a bit of that. And the answer is, if you as a teacher are being observed, you choose your teaching techniques. They're the most appropriate that you could use for that group. And I have to draw the old example I like to use. One of the best lessons I ever inspected was a group of 8 or 10 motor vehicle students under a tree on a hot summer's day doing steering geometry with a bamboo cane and 2 large protractors on the ground. I'll leave you to think up how the lesson was actually put together, but in terms of learning, every student left knowing the syllabus, knowing the ins and outs of steering geometry and symmetry. And was there any IT? No. What were the learning resources used? No handouts, no projector. There was bamboo cane, 2 protractors, and a lot of questions and answers and active learning. But anyway, to return, E-grade students, it's a complete college choice regarding which programs they go on. Do they go on GCSE or do they go on functional skills? It's not an Ofsted policy. The it's not an Ofsted policy, I'll say that. If we're looking at effective ways of teaching, effective practice shows integration and contextualization of maths and English, and that means the maths teachers and English teachers working together to make sure that the appropriate subjects and opportunities are taken to embed it in the curriculum. And that requires very close liaison and cooperation between the teachers, not one saying I only do maths and the other saying sorry I only do plumbing or mechanical trades or whatever it is. So that's a point to bear in mind. And then, how do you show that a learner below a D grade GCSE is making progress? Are you going to test them regularly? How are you actually going to do that? So just concluding the feedback, or almost concluding the feedback from Ofsted. Students with F and G grades, there again, the need is for them to be seen to be making progress. And the college strategy on how we treat those students does come into the leadership and management grade. And if you're a college with exemptions, students who are given permission not to take the exam, then you need to demonstrate extremely good reasons for that, and you need to have the evidence available, doctor's notes or whatever. That will be looked at in inspection. So whatever, if the student's exempted, that's one thing. It doesn't take away the requirement of the college to develop the maths and English skills of those students, even if they're not sitting the exam. And the final thing I'd like to say is that it was quite clearly stated to us that poor practice which is seen, the teachers who deliver the whole syllabus, go into the classroom, got a scheme of work for a year, got lesson plans worked out, and it doesn't matter what the students are like, what the differentiation requirements are, what grades they came in with, what areas of the syllabus they know well and what areas they actually need to do some work in. They all receive the same lesson at the same time. So I suppose theoretically you could take an example of a student who knew all about area of a triangle. They knew it was half base times height. They knew that it was they could use the sine of an angle to calculate that area as well. And actually the teacher ignored all of that and slavishly went through the basics again. So the Ofsted feedback was very useful. It provoked a lot of debate, and I think colleagues got a lot out of it. Then the bit that I enjoy the most of all, the AOB and information exchange. Sometimes we put this on an agenda as what keeps you awake at night. There's quite a lot that keeps me awake at night in further education. So we had a colleague who recommended theday.co.uk as a learning resource. So I've had a look at that, and that is very good, and it's helpful for English language students because it sticks it in the contextualisation of their vocational area. Some debate about colleges which will take a C grade English literature but not language, as triggering exemption from retest. How long that will go on for is another matter. And then much debate about how do you improve and maintain attendance. And there were various strategies being used, group meetings, parents being called into college, student withdrawal if not attending, so shut down on their vocational programme, additional lessons, teachers available on Friday afternoons, many things. Oh, handing out of sweets, that was a good one that seemed to produce good results. Fistful of Quality Street or something. Some colleges enter students into November resits as a matter of policy. Others don't do that. If you are doing that, or considering doing it, we found that one of the benefits of it was that you could put on revision sessions in half term, in the autumn term, to prepare the students for those resits. And then a view to the future with the new grading system. At the moment it doesn't appear clear that a grade 4 will be equivalent to a C for 17 and 18, but for entry to English A-level a grade B is required, which is equivalent to a 6. Now that seems to be settling down at the moment, so it's a watch this space job. And then, as I've just said, top-up, catch-up classes on top of normal contact hours, and by the way, the normal contact hours per GCSE around about 3 a week, and then members of staff coming up with incentives such as sweets or cakes or whatever to get students' attendance in class. So I think that wraps up the lively meeting that we had. It was well attended, and please use this webinar as help for your academic improvement, for your academic teaching, but also please have a think about coming along to our next meetings, and you'll find full details on the FE Sussex website. Thank you very much.